alone, girl. Drop down and get your eagle on, girl. Drop down and get your eagle on, girl. Hell no, ain't leaving me alone, girl. Drop down and get your eagle on, girl.
Hello, hello, hello. It is your girl AJ back on her grind, back with Birds of a Feather, episode 6. Sorry for my voice, you guys. I've been kicking a nasty head cold all week, and I finally said, you know what? I cannot keep this podcast to myself any longer. I have to talk. I have to get a lot of stuff out. There's been so much that's been happening since the Eagles' guaranteed win that I said last week. Hopefully we'll be talking about, and we were. 61 yards, people. 61 yards. Welcome to another episode of Birds of a Feather. Like I said before, AJ, your suburban princess, here to give you my recap of what was probably the most nerve-wracking 1 second of my life at the end of a very exciting roller coastery divisional game against the Giants. My Birds came through as usual, but part of me felt like this game could have went either way after the second half. There were so many things to talk about, but the 61-yarder obviously is pretty much the kick heard around the league for the week. And Jake Elliott, our newbie kicker, remember he was from the practice squad from the Cincinnati Bengals, which apparently their coach tried to brush off like it was not a big deal. But, you know, he's secretly salty. He didn't do anything with that kicker. But anyway, back to the Eagles. Jake Elliott never in his life has kicked something that far. And he has now apparently been the longest kick recorded in NFL history. I was thinking it was just the Eagles' history, but apparently he made news around the league. So it not only did the Eagles get their proper respect just from the win, but the way they won. Now, mind you, they were ahead 14-0 for most of this game. And it's always disappointing when they kind of lose a very nice, cushy lead for something stupid as, I don't know, a missed play here or there, a missed tackle here and there. And somehow during the game, we lost Fletcher Cox and Jordan Hicks, which could explain why there was no big anticlimactic interception on the Eagles side that usually happens around that time in the third or fourth quarter when you know it's coming, especially when the ties kept going back and forth, 14 here, 21 here, 24 there. You just were waiting for something to just seal the deal. And what did we have to do? We waited for a nice but a very nice pass from Carson to Alshon Jeffrey out of bounds to get the clock down to 1 second. Of course, the clock just had to be dramatic. They could have just added a couple seconds back on. But anyway, it was a perfect finish for Jake to set that kick up. And now that you've heard all the clips and you've seen it, you've heard it in Spanish, you've heard Carson mic'd up, you've heard all the screams, you've heard about the bet that was made that if he made it, that Carson would give his paycheck to Jake. Of course, the good guys that they are, Carson decided that both of them will decide to give the money to a charity of Jake's choice. So that works out at the end, because at the end, it's not really even about money. It's about the wins, baby. And at the end of the day, look, Carson makes more than I do. So I look at it this way. Once he gets that huge paycheck next season or whenever they're going to seal him, you know that it's going to be well worth it. Every year he seems like he gets, not even every year. This is only his second year. Every month, every game, Carson seems like he gets better and better. Yes, it hasn't been very good as far as deep passing and deep, a deep ball to the end zone yet, but they'll connect. They'll get there, because I feel like with Carson, I never feel shaky. I just get nervous when he throws over people's heads, because that is something that if he doesn't take care, that lack of touch is going to come back to haunt him at a very crucial time. And we want to get out of that. I'm fine if he throws a pick here and there. It'll happen. Somebody will run a wrong route, or Carson will just, over anticipate where he had to throw the ball. I heard a caller today actually on Mike Missinelli's show who said he felt like that he might go in the Donovan direction, where Donovan is a great player, great quarterback, but he always had those worm balls and he had those passes that you don't know where the hell he was throwing it to. And people worry about him going to that pattern. Carson is not Donovan, as much as Donovan probably wishes he was Carson right now, because Carson is beloved since day one. I think Carson has a lot to learn about, timing, and he has a lot to learn about the feel of where his players are, even when they're not where they usually are supposed to be. You know, sometimes you got to learn to improvise, and I'm sure he watches games. I'm sure he'd be watching the Packers Chicago Bears game that's about to come on soon, because Aaron Rodgers is another one of his big favorite players that he likes to look up to. So maybe he'll learn some pointers from Aaron tonight. Hopefully the Packers will win, because I chose them as one of my FanDuel teams. But tonight is Thursday Night Football, but we're going to talk about the game and also the controversial topic that continues to keep going now because of our president. Donald Trump decided he wanted to throw his 2 cents in about the NFL and the protests. And that just led to more of a snowball. As much as we try to ignore it, kids, all week on sports radio, whether it be WIP or 97.5 or any of the podcasts, the protest became a hot subject once again, like it was becoming to be. Actually, it was actually starting to die down, and then all of a sudden it blew up because, you know, the president decided to throw his 2 cents about how players who kneel should be fired. So what did they all do last weekend? Every other team, pretty much every team but 3 who decided to stay in the locker room during the anthem and not be part of the whole charade, decided to kneel with their owners or link arm in arm with a military person or a serviceman or anybody who they felt represented Americana, as well as holding the flag or kneeling or just putting up their fists. Either way, it increasified the attention to a subject that was really supposed to just be about drawing attention to police brutality amongst people of color, and especially black males. And so what turned into has now become this circus, and the media circus is not really going to bring it any light as much as drown it out with angst, misunderstanding, miscommunications, angry tweets, dumb callers who call into radio shows who really think that this whole thing is not even about this. It's about blacks trying to draw attention to themselves, or I don't see the racism at all. I don't know what you're talking about, or what are they kneeling for? I mean, after a year and a half of this coverage, since Colin Kaepernick took a knee, I don't know why we're all shocked about protests, because protests are supposed to make people uncomfortable. The only difference now is that the president just gave it more more light, should I say. And he brought more attention to the fact that he not only represents the face of ignorance and inequality in this world, but he's running our country the same exact way that some of these people feel. You know, about maybe like 30% of the people who watch NFL are out there now making videos, burning their season-long tickets that they spent a lot of money for. Now, mind you, there are people out there who are still stranded in Puerto Rico. Although up until this week, we found out that apparently the Royal Caribbean cruise decided to take a lot of Puerto Ricans who are without any power, have not been able to be dressed or take care of their babies or take care of their loved elderly, have been able to get on this ship and get somewhere safer to shore, as well as there's been a lot of planes trying to get into Puerto Rico that have been getting millions of dollars from local celebrities, whether it be Pitbull or Jennifer Lopez. And here we are still talking about these stupid protests. And at the end of the day, I shouldn't even say stupid, forgive me. I feel like the protest itself serves a purpose. But when you get the media and then you get other owners who know damn well they don't want their money being tampered with and doing it just to save face for like a hot second before the anthem, specifically the Cowboys decided to do it, which made no sense to me, because the whole point was you do it during the anthem and make a stance. They did it before as a group, before the anthem was played. Whatever. Didn't mean anything. And as far as I'm concerned, Jerry Jones just made an ass of himself, because he himself said that he would fire any player who kneeled. And now you got high school kids doing it who are too young to even understand the struggle, but decided that, you know what? I know what this is about. I know what my dad told me this is about. And this is about people like me who could possibly be shot by police just because I'm black and because I look like I fit a description. But it's getting lost in translation. And by the end of this program and my podcast, you should probably understand why the protest will continue. And if it doesn't continue in the NFL at this point, and it's only just a couple of players even after this whole wave of media passes, there still will be this nagging question in the back of everybody's mind. Why are they doing it? Why do I care? Why does the one sport that I love to watch without thinking about racism have to be tarnished and sullied with the images of people protesting something I don't understand? And at the end of the day, people who know damn well what it's about are just choosing not to accept it. And in the end, they're stressing themselves out trying to find ways to avoid watching something that they love, which to me is kind of hard and an inner conflict within itself. If you love something, enjoy it. Regardless of whether or not it's going to look the way you like it to look. I mean, the NFL has become a watered down product since day one, but this kind of made it to me, it sealed the whole controversy of the NFL in general, like the whole hypocrisy of it, the corporation itself, how on one bend they try to be on everybody's good side with the humanitarianism and all this stuff. And then they reward players who have a long history of domestic abuse, drug use, all these horrible things, and they still give them huge contracts. And then they got players that, who do good things, only maybe get spotlighted just a little bit. And by then you forget who they're talking about. Thank God for Malcolm Jenkins, who is now an Eagle, who just was on CNN the other night talking with Anderson Cooper during the town hall about what exactly the protests exactly mean. And him and Anquan Bolden, who has just retired from the NFL, a wide receiver, decided he felt like he had no more purpose until he joined this kind of a discussion, because he felt like, I can't continue the rest of my life as a black man with my family and put my head in the sand and keep getting paid for something I'm not passionate about anymore. Which is a shame, because if you spend your whole life setting yourself up to be whatever you want to be, and then you find out that very thing unearths a lot of racism and hypocrisy, excuse me. Took me a while there, but it just houses a lot of anger, and it unearths a lot of secrets that you never thought people would actually speak on until it's forced in your face. We're a nation who believes in the overall image of equality and separate but equal, and together we stand, united we stand, divided we fall. But we have not really actually executed these ideals in a very long time. And it shouldn't take my mom's or my dad's generation for us to finally realize, maybe they had a point. Our earth is screaming right now. Our earth is exploding volcanoes and tsunamis and hurricanes, and everything is being destroyed left and right. And all you do to choose to get away from it is watch a football game. There's exercise, there's eating healthy, there's actually talking to your family members. Football being given a new image of equality and diversity and socialism and social activism, should I say. That shouldn't make it any different from watching the same game that you had watched a month or two before the protests became national news. I really think that a lot of people may have examined what kind of important morals or things they seem to put onto the NFL, and ideals that they thought that the NFL stood for, and now they realize they don't. I think it worked twofold. I think it worked for people who probably hate the NFL, and now it gives them a look at them saying, oh, and so now you're realizing the hypocrisy of your corporation. Then you got people who love the NFL who are secretly like, I can't believe the owners are now trying to join in with something that they were against. There's a guy out there who plays better than half of the backup quarterbacks that still have salaries out there that are working for their salaries. He doesn't have a job anymore because he took a freaking knee. Meanwhile, he didn't kill anybody. He's never had a history of drug abuse or domestic violence for that matter. And all of a sudden, this same kid who was just in like the body issue, 5, 6, 7 years ago, naked, sex symbol and all that. And now he's this guy with a big fro, lost some weight, a militant girlfriend who is a New York DJ out there who speaks openly about her social activism. And now that's his lady love. And suddenly, all of a sudden, everybody looks at him like he's just this wannabe thug. Yes, I had my reserves about how he was taking his stance too and why he was taking it. Part of me thought maybe he doesn't want to play anymore and he's just trying to distract himself. But then after a while, the more and more you saw him donate and the more you've seen him on videos, meeting kids, going to Africa, just being part of a lot of social change and a lot of underground groups that are trying to thrive, he's throwing his money and putting his money where his mouth is. And as opposed to, athletes who seem like they're forced to do it through the NFL, through all their 360 cares and all the NFL stuff they do, Colin is simply doing this on merit. And I think he feels like he can't live with himself, which I didn't know about him, that he was adopted, trying to learn a side of himself in the public eye, where so many people who love sports just look at him as a player that fell by the wayside and sucks. I look at him as a guy that I was just watching the Super Bowl a couple seasons ago. So it's kind of hard for me to look at him and think that his skills deteriorated that fast unless there was something else really matter with him behind the scenes. And now that we're talking about him, it seems like the media has kind of forgotten him as the actual catalyst to all this. And now it's just become about other players who spoke up. You know, LeBron's tweets getting retweeted, you know, Steph Curry not going to the White House and it being a big deal to the president to even bring him up. You know, it's just one of those things now that everyone and the media, who's responsible mostly for it, by showing us images every freaking game of somebody kneeling, like it really matters at this point. It really doesn't. Like if no one kneels from this point on, or the next weekend, if you only see one or two still kneeling and everybody else standing, did it really serve its purpose? You know, if people forget the person who did it first and now they're getting to the point where they're focusing on just, you know, why does it have to mess up my game? Or why is the president even talking about it? And this, that, and the other. You're missing the point. We're never going to really be 100% free or equal unless we acknowledge that we are all different. And different doesn't necessarily have to mean bad. You know, we all don't look alike. Yes, some of us may all be Americans, you know, as far as being raised in the same country, but that doesn't mean our ideals are going to be the same. That doesn't mean our religion is going to be the same. And that doesn't have to show disharmony. You can agree to disagree. You can respect somebody's differences. And it doesn't have to be a slap in the face to the flag or the diversity or the symbols that the United States have stood for. It doesn't have to be any of that. All it could just be is just a simple disagreement. It doesn't have to come down to harm, physical harm, verbal harm, except that this person is not you. And that is it. And just be done with it. Go enjoy football. Go to your games. Yeah, you may not like this, whatever, grumble. No one likes going to work every day. Some people do, some people don't. I personally wish I could make money without having to go to work, but I enjoy my job. But there are some days I could do without getting up in the morning, period. But again, you live. You know, there are people who are literally sitting in their own body fluids, you know, right now who haven't had a clean glass of water. There are people still in Flint, Michigan with no clean water. And this is before all these natural disasters started happening all at once, you know, and we're here in September, about to be October, and people are still trying to figure out why do these things incite so much rage? And why is racism still not figured out by everybody? Why don't people just be comfortable with the idea that racism just exists and that's it? I mean, I had a heckler online during a YouTube chat where, you know, this random dude decided to just insult me because I'm a woman, you know, trying to call me. I forget what he was trying to label me. I forget who he called me, but, you know, he didn't call me the N-word. Now, mind you, if he had, I probably would have cussed him out and made sure I reported his YouTube name. But at the end of the day, he can disagree with the fact that I'm a girl who likes to speak sports. That's fine. But you don't have to take it to such a level where now you're personally trying to attack me. Because at the end of the day, this is just only about the fact that you have an issue because of your own history of a female talking sports, as opposed to whatever you're used to since you've grown up since day one and you can't deal with the change. At the end of the day, anybody's opposition to any other person's belief is due to their own background, their own hangups. And going back to the Eagles, I just like the fact that now that the issue is out there, that the Eagles have never once threatened, or at least it hasn't been said, has been threatened not to stand, not to salute, not to do any of this. Yes, Jeffrey Lurie did dance around the idea of having Colin Kaepernick come to the team as a backup or as a quarterback in general, but you know he wasn't going to directly hit the issue on because he knows it's a controversial subject. And as an owner, maybe he realized he had to re-examine his morals. Maybe he realized that maybe Kaepernick is a problem to me and I'm worried about my money. In the end of the day, does that really affect your money? And even if it does, how many times have Eagles fans threatened not to come to a game again if they don't win? Or if they had Michael Vick, I would never come. But those same people were enjoying Michael Vick bringing the Eagles back from like a 23-something deficit in that 2010 game in the Meadowlands. So you can't tell me that all of a sudden everybody suddenly can't change their mind, especially when the Eagles were winning. Sports has a lot of it runs parallel to a lot of things that we as adults deal with in life. It's just we like to put sports separate, but a lot of things in life do mirror with sports, whether it be obstacles, whether it be trials and tribulations, whether it be the end goal in life is to get that job or get that career or get that guy or girl. That's always pretty much the symbolism of football. And so I guess when you feel like you're distracted by saying, this is not only just an issue, this is a boundary. And nobody wants to deal with that. Because as far as I'm concerned, if you're on the winning team, you don't have any boundaries. You're like the Patriots. Everything is just a matter of time. I can just figure it out, just boom right through it and get to the Super Bowl, number six ring. So that's not realistic. Not everybody's Tom Brady. Not everybody is Bill Belichick. Not everybody has a team like the Patriots. So we have to be satisfied with the other 31 teams that try their best just to get by. And again, I stress this even if I'm so hoarse that I could really say a lot more, but this will probably be a short edition simply because I really want to move on to the next game. But to tie it all with a ribbon, I just want people to understand the reason why I do a podcast is one, because I know I have more than one thought that I can squeeze into a radio phone call when I call into a radio station. I felt like as a woman, especially now that we're seeing a lot more females being presented not just on the sidelines, but also in the booth, we have to be accepting of the fact that women have minds too when it comes to sports. There wouldn't be a female soccer team. There wouldn't be a female basketball team. You wouldn't have someone like Venus and Serena Williams breaking records left and right if women still didn't need to fight to get their voices out there. And thank God for apps, and thank God for podcasts, and thank God for just the fact that you can't discriminate a woman against making her own show, whether or not people listen or not. So I say go females, and I'm all about it. And I just want to say, just for most of this podcast, I want to let people know that they always can contact me. AJ Radio Caller at AOL.com. I have an IG, AJ Radio Caller. I have a Facebook page, AJ the Sports Radio Caller. Feel free to email me, or if you want to post something that's sports related, that's appropriate and not nasty, feel free to do so. And I'm also, again, on Twitter, Girly Virgo 78. My name is AJ, and please, if you have something obscene to say to me, don't try to just do it with no picture. I don't respond to people with no pictures. And at this point now, I just want to move on to talking about the Chargers. Now, we just found out that by the end of this week, the Eagles are not going to be with Fletcher Cox, apparently for a couple weeks. Now, they're not disclosing what the injury is, which is really annoying, because at this point I'm thinking, okay, whatever it is, they could just say it's an ankle, it's a knee, it's his back, whatever. They haven't said, they just said he's out. So I'm okay with that, because Tim Jernigan is pretty much doing his work and then some. So I'm not worried about Fletcher Cox being out. I would have been more nervous if Jordan Hicks was out too, because he's pretty much the reason why the Eagles can jump right back in it when they're lagging in the second half of the game. Usually he turns on his defensive jets and he either gets a pick or he blocks something or he just gets in there. So I'm glad Jordan Hicks is okay. And as far as any of the cornerbacks, I don't know much of the Chargers wide receivers. I just know that Phillip Rivers has beat us several times. And I'm just nervous that the Eagles won't be able to pull their own when it comes down to the Chargers being up. I'm not a fan of Phil Rivers, but I do respect the fact that he can still play after, I don't know, like a double-digit seasons he's been in the league. And at this point now, I would just like to see at least a little fight from my Birds. I mean, it's a 4:00 game, so I got plenty of time to do my errands and get back in front of the telly. But I'm hoping to at least see a fight, just like what they did with the Redskins, even though they came out in the end with that. If they have to skeet through every, that's not the right word, sorry. If they have to slide through, is that what I mean? Skate through, or... Oh my gosh, I'm like a lack of words today. Anyone who's listening is laughing right now, I'm sure. But if they could just get out, squeeze, thank you. Whew, thank you, Jesus. Squeeze out a win for every game that they take at this point, especially before the bye. I'll be proud of that. I don't want them to ever get their asses handed to them this year. I don't really feel like they have a chance to not beat any of these teams, but realistically, the matchups always work against them when it comes to AFC teams. So, like I said, I just want to see a fight. I don't want to see a fold. I want to see the bend don't break. I want to see more Derek Barnett. I want to see some amazing sacks by Vinny, because I know Vinny is on the They keep thinking that Vinny's going to be out any day, and I just want Vinny to show up. I want Vinny to get open a lot more. He's had a couple of tackles in the past 3 games, but it's just amazing. It's week 4, and it already feels like it's pretty much close to the bye right now. And, you know, it's about to be daylight savings time again. So I'm at this point where I'm just really excited, but I'm more excited for October because we have a few more games to work. I'm not excited about the Thursday and the Monday night game, but Cam is coming, so I'm kind of excited about the Panthers coming on the 12th. I have a feeling the Eagles will beat them, but I won't be shocked if they lose either because Cam has to slowly get himself back to where he is, and he throws very high and very strong balls. So, you know, that could be the one day Kelvin Benjamin is just deciding I'm going to show up all game, you know. They haven't really been in sync, the Panthers, this year so far, but I have a weird feeling that'll be the night that Cam will just turn it on because it's a Thursday primetime game, and, you know, it'll be televised. So I really feel like Cam wants to show everybody he's back. So that could be the game, maybe not. I don't know. But I think it'll be a good game. I'm excited that Cam is coming to Philly. And the Monday night game is it the Redskins? Are the Redskins coming here? Yes. The Redskins, I think, are coming home that Monday night. So that's a big one, too. The last time the Eagles had them face the Redskins at home, it was quite exciting. So that'll be an exciting Monday nighter, but it won't be for me, but I will be making sure I take off the next day. So I'll be excited to be able to go home late and not have to worry about getting up to go to work. So that's a plus. But October is yet to be the really exciting month. And then after that, November's kind of like, but I'll be ready for December by November. And then the Raiders game on Christmas. So goodness gracious. Anyway, but yes, the Charger game, I'm feeling more like a 30-24 Eagles loss, but I also kind of predicted a 30-something Eagles win last weekend, and, you know, it only ended up being 27-24, but I do feel like the Eagles have a good chance of at least getting more than 2 touchdowns. I'll put it that way. But I'm feeling like all you need is for Phil to get hot, and it can be downhill from there. But I'm also going to always think positive when it comes to them. I just want them to not look disheveled and out of sync. I want them to look like they know what they're doing. They're going to try their best. And if they get in, they get in. If they don't, they don't, whatever. It's not a divisional loss. So I look at it like whatever. They don't have to face these AFC teams all the time. So they're liable to, you know, chase their own, shoot themselves in the foot maybe a couple times during this game, but it wouldn't be Eagles football if it wasn't full of drama. So it could be a walk in the park. It could not. I know I'm very excited to go to the Rams game in December as well. I will be missing the Army-Navy game. That's that Saturday, but that's okay. Army won for me last year. So if they lose this year again, I don't care. But enough about that. I'd like to get your feedback. If you're interested, and hit me up on Twitter, girlyvirgo78, or ajradiocaller@aol.com. Thanks again for listening. I know this is short, but my voice is already starting to get a little hoarse, and I want to go watch the Packers game. Go Pack, go. And if the Bears decide to lose, I hope they at least put Mitchell Trubisky in, because I do think he's better than Glennon. But yeah, what do I know? I'm just a female. Anyway, enjoy your Eagles weekend. Tomorrow's Friday, so that's good. We're almost there. It's a 4:15 game. Enjoy, Eagles fans. EAGLES, Eagles. Peace out. Go Birds.